The following is an excerpt from the book Experiences of Thought by Anthony Kahn, available now on Amazon.com and Kindle. The ideal world. Enough Bluff. The social structure of our world is very much founded on bluff, a facade of pretension that promotes the importance of appearance. The job description for a position down at the local burger store will be seeking applicants with the qualities of Superman, and the applicants themselves will need to present themselves as superhuman. You do not want the job for the money you need to put food in your mouth, but rather because you have grown up with a deep passion and commitment toward maintaining the high standards of the most noble art of burger flipping. Now, the employer is not really looking for Superman, and the applicant isn't really superhuman. Everyone knows that. So why maintain the ruse? In school, you will find the cool kids at the pinnacle of the playground pecking order. And then you will find the nerds and the loners and the generally outcast. But what is the difference between them? The cool kids walk the walk and talk the talk, but are they superior in any way? The philosopher Bertrand Russell once noted that the trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure, while the intelligent are full of doubt. And there is an element of truth to this, even if it is harsh in tone. The thing is, the less you know, the less aware you are of how little you know. It is easy to be confident if you never think deeply about anything, because you will never come to appreciate the magnitude of your own ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. Socrates, one of the greatest and most influential of the ancient philosophers, famously declared his own ignorance, and in so doing exhibited a true mark of wisdom. Almost paradoxically, it may well be argued that wisdom is in large part an appreciation of one's own ignorance and lack of knowledge. The more you question yourself and your ideas, the less confident you are about your assumptions, and the more you appreciate the complexity of all that exists. The more you appreciate your own ignorance, the more respectful you become of the positions of others, and the more deeply you understand the world and the value of all that exists. But the world does not favor the wise, it favors the confident. If you want to get ahead, never mind thinking too much about anything, just make sure you create a good impression. Fill your wardrobe with the latest fashions and ingratiate yourself with the movers and shakers of the world. Don't worry too much about that quiet person low down on the ladder of success, because they will hold little influence and be of little value to you in reaching the top. Agree with those who represent the consensus of respectable society and never say anything controversial, as people will begin to suspect your soundness. And once you arrive at the top, you can be confident that you are a person of impressive intellect and worthy of great respect and emulation. You now rightly call the shots and have earned your place as a mover and shaker in your own right. Okay, now this is a fairly bleak assessment of the state of the world and its values, but sadly, such a mentality is prevalent in our society, even if it is held in check to some extent by the more noble aspects of human nature. From our earliest experiences of life, as social creatures, we are always trying to fit in and to be one of the in crowd, even if we have to sell part of our soul to get there. The truth of the matter is that there is safety in numbers, and it is easier to be a sheep than a maverick. But how often has the crowd been wrong? How often has the consensus of the respected pinnacle of society been completely off the mark? Whether we are talking about the cool kids at school or the mindset and understanding of civilization's past, there is no shortage of instances where lonely freethinkers have had it right all along. In fact, it is well documented that groups are more likely to engage in risk-taking than individuals, simply because it feels empowering to be part of a group, and it seems reasonable to rely on the consensus of a group above one's own reasoning. So how might we instead envisage the behavior of individuals in a utopia, an ideal state of existence? Mark Twain once wrote that everyone is a moon and has a dark side which he never shows to anybody. However, the problem is that if we all present an artificial version of ourselves to the outside world and act as though that dark side does not exist, then our collective dark sides will manifest themselves unchecked in the world we create for ourselves. Imagine how different the world might be if we could all read each other's mind. There could be no pretense and no judgment, because our social hierarchies would immediately disintegrate. No one could present themselves as other than what they truly are, and we would all be very equal in our imperfection. The simplistic idea that there are good people and bad people would need to be abandoned, and there would just be people, flawed gemstones, imperfect but precious nonetheless. What then is the first step toward this world devoid of smoke and mirrors? It would help enormously if we would all take heed of Socrates' teachings and think long and hard about our own lack of knowledge. Ask yourself if your confidence is really justified, and question that which you think you know. Don't gauge the validity of an idea by the number of your peers who subscribe to it, and don't perpetuate what you know to be a myth. Just so that you can fit in with the crowd, don't pretend that you can see the emperor's new clothes. We are all imperfect, and we are all subject to the usual human frailties of character. We grow in wisdom, however, the more that we acknowledge this fact within ourselves and begin to choose our actions in accordance with this fact.